let's talk about Caitlin Clark, because she's the breakout star of the WNBA right now with the highest salary in league history. Yeah.
This is like picking at an old scab for many women. And there was something about it, like I was imagining the little girls with the signs who were filling the stadiums, who are now obsessed with basketball with signs that say Caitlin.
Comes as women's college basketball has never seen a bigger star than Caitlin Clark.
You know, it's true. There has been no one like Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark just pulled off the unthinkable. And no, this isn't one of those someday she might stories. We're not talking about eventual stardom or slow-burning success. We're talking right now, rookie season. She didn't wait for a promotion, a committee, or a marketing strategy. She cracked the WNBA's century-old glass ceiling with a no-look pass, spun the league's tired old playbook into confetti, and strolled into seven-figure territory like she owned the gym.
There was incremental growth in the WNBA comparatively to the exponential growth we are seeing now. What I'm about to tell y'all I haven't heard before, so I doubt you have either. Before the 2023 season, the WNBA had grown by 40% viewership from 2022 to 2023. But with Caitlin Clark's arrival, it's grown by 400% viewership. What that means is if the WNBA were continue to grow at the rate it grew from 22 to 23, it would take until 2028 to do what Caitlin Clark did this year. Okay, now let's not talk viewership, let's talk ticket sales. Bear with me. Ticket sales grew in 2023 by 16% from 2022. Ticket sales have grown by 93% in 2024. What that means is without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA would have taken till 2029 or 2030 to get to where Caitlin Clark has gotten them today.
Not with endorsements, not as a side hustle, not in some dreamy hypothetical future, but as a paycheck. Straight up salary, $1 million. Plus, from playing basketball in the WNBA. The same league that used to force its stars to fly coach and hustle overseas in the offseason just to survive. College hoops knew she was different. She wasn't just dominant, she was generational. But the transition to the WNBA, that wasn't a step up for Caitlin Clark. It was a detonation, a seismic disruption. She didn't just show up, she arrived with enough force to rattle the foundations of the entire league.
The WNBA season hasn't even officially started yet, but the impact Caitlin Clark is having is still insane. First, you gotta keep in mind what she's already been doing. Caitlin brought in an estimated $36 million to Indianapolis last year in her very first season with the team. She was also credited with generating 27% of the entire league's economic activity that season. Fever jersey sales increased by 1,193%, which is a lot.
One draft pick later, and everything changed. She turned preseason hype into primetime headlines. And for those who were expecting a slow build, too late. She sprinted past every expectation before they could even update the scoreboard. The moment she was drafted, she became not just the story, but the story. Let's clear the air early. Caitlin Clark isn't a flash in the pan. She's not media fluff or a social media algorithm experiment. She's not hype. She's history. She's motion-captured legacy.
That Caitlin Clark has become the Taylor Swift for all of women's sports. She's easily recognizable in everything she does, and it's turning new generations of fans to her. It's bringing new generations of women and men to sports that maybe they weren't covering before. It's getting a level of interest that is far beyond the game that's being played. We can continue to debate the career process for Caitlin Clark and what's going to happen. But what this shoe deal proves to all of us and reminds all of us is that there are sometimes some people are larger than any one particular game that they play. Caitlin Clark has accomplished that already.
She's a record breaker in real time. The kind of athlete whose impact can't be contained by stat sheets or game recaps. What she's doing is reshaping the very narrative of women's professional sports, and she's doing it without flinching. While other players get introduced, Clark gets announced like a cultural event. The league, it's still trying to catch its breath. For years, WNBA players have had to endure what can only be described as professional purgatory. Rookie contracts capped at $76,000. Top-tier veterans scraping together $250,000, maybe if they were lucky, dominant, and extremely marketable.
According to Sports Pro, Caitlin Clark is the fourth most marketable athlete in the world. Yeah, not just female athlete, not just in the United States, but in the entire world.
Caitlin Clark for being named Time Athlete of the Year. I get why people are so upset. I'm a basketball player and a basketball fan. There's a lot of dynamics and a lot of layers to this thing when it deals with Caitlin Clark. But I will say that this is just my opinion. It's certain people, I don't care if you're black, white, Spanish, from Europe, it doesn't matter, that have it, that draw something, okay? And Kate is one of those. Marketable because people tend to resonate. I don't care, black, white, whatever it may be. Now, there is a race component to it. It always will be in some regards, okay? But the player itself, the person, what she was able to do, how she resonated, how she drew eyes to the TV.
And all of that while male bench warmers in the NBA, yes, the guys whose primary athletic contribution is making sure the folding chairs don't blow away, were cashing checks that dwarfed the entire payroll of the Indiana Fever. That's not hyperbole, it's basic arithmetic with a side of indignation. For decades, the WNBA operated in the shadows of professional sports, subsisting on loose change, condescension, and an annual 5-minute highlight reel squeezed between cornhole tournaments and curling reruns on late-night sports channels. Players weren't jet-setting overseas for the glamour. They were there to survive, grinding through international leagues just to afford rent, health insurance, and maybe a working knee brace. The concept of a $1 million contract in the WNBA was as realistic as a unicorn dunking a basketball. Then came Caitlin Clark. She didn't just break the mold, she torched it, danced on the ashes, and handed the league a brand new blueprint. Before she ever played a professional minute, Clark had already transformed the WNBA from niche curiosity to primetime obsession. Her draft night jersey, gone in 60 minutes. Her away games, sold out like Beyonce was opening for her. Suddenly, the WNBA wasn't just a league, it was an event. And Clark, she was the spark.
This girl right here is a box office attraction. And because of her box office attraction, it's generating more eyeballs to the WNBA product, therefore more revenue for the WNBA product.
TV networks, they went from treating the WNBA like background noise to scrambling over each other for broadcast rights like it was the Super Bowl. ESPN, ABC, Amazon Prime, they all dove headfirst into the frenzy, elbowing their way into the conversation just to ride the wave of the Clark effect. Caitlin Clark wasn't just an athlete, she became a media juggernaut. SportsCenter didn't merely cover her highlights, they practically rebranded segments around her every move, from logo threes to no-look assists. Ratings didn't just rise, they skyrocketed. Headlines exploded, social media buzzed. Suddenly, WNBA games weren't that sleepy time slot between competitive cornhole and obscure European darts. They were the main event, primetime, marquee matchups, and people tuned in by the millions. Clark didn't just bring viewers, she brought energy, hype, and relevance. She dragged the league out of the margins and into living rooms nationwide. What used to be easily overlooked was now front-page news. Athletes took notice, celebrities showed up courtside, kids wore her jersey. She reignited fan interest, redefined marketability, and gave the league a face people couldn't ignore. Caitlin Clark didn't just elevate the WNBA, she forced the sports world to sit up, take notice, and finally show up.
Man, we all knew this was coming. I mean, this is no breaking news to me. I mean, she's box office, she's top billing with however you want to use it. Yo, man, everybody, obviously they're selling out. Everybody wants to see her. Well, maybe not everybody. I'm sure there's going to be some pushback on this topic. But yo, man, it is what it is, man. Let the stars be the stars. Let the money come in. And if you feel a way, I'm talking to the other WNBA players that may feel a way. Yo, man, play better.
Let's talk numbers, because unlike hot takes on cable news, numbers don't lie or care about your feelings. This WNBA season alone, a jaw-dropping 54 million viewers tuned in. That's not just a spike, it's a seismic shift. WNBA attendance, the highest it's been in over 2 decades. That's right, people are actually showing up in droves, filling arenas like it's the playoffs every night. Game telecasts are casually crossing the million-viewer threshold, week after week, like it's the new normal. So, what changed? One name, Caitlin Clark. She didn't just join the league, she detonated into it. Clark transformed women's basketball from a niche interest into a cultural phenomenon. You no longer needed to dig through obscure sports apps or late-night highlight reels to catch a glimpse of the action. WNBA content was front and center, trending, going viral, dominating the conversation. And not because people were guilt-tripped into supporting women's sports. No, fans showed up because Clark made it thrilling, electric, impossible to ignore. She brought the fireworks, the swagger, the no-look passes and logo threes. She made the WNBA must-see television. And for the first time in a long time, the world finally tuned in, willingly, eagerly, and in record numbers.
And the team saw a 265% increase in attendance. The Fever also led the WNBA with 90 active sponsorship deals last season, and they saw a 415% increase in social media followers. Now heading into the 2025 season, Caitlin is already finding ways to break more records. In a preseason game against Brazil at Carver Hawkeye Arena, tickets sold out in less than an hour, and the average resale price of those tickets was more than some NBA playoff games. Regular season ticket prices are also up over 100%. There is no stopping the Caitlin Clark effect.
Now, let's not tiptoe around the elephant in the locker room. Yes, Caitlin Clark is white. And yes, that fact has made some people uncomfortable in discussions about representation and equity in women's sports. It's a valid and necessary conversation. Race, access, and visibility have always shaped who gets to be seen, who gets funded, and who gets celebrated in American athletics. But let's also be clear, you can't whitewash raw numbers. You can't whitewash ticket stubs flying off the shelves, or TV ratings shattering records, or merchandise sales that have Clark jerseys practically printing money. She's not just playing the game, she's redefining how it's consumed. Caitlin Clark didn't sneak into the spotlight, she bulldozed her way into it with 40-foot bombs, dazzling assists, and an unapologetic swagger that forced even the most casual fan to pay attention. She's taken a league that mainstream sports fans historically ignored and made it impossible to overlook. Her success doesn't erase the larger racial dynamics at play, but it does underscore one hard truth in professional sports. Numbers matter. And whether it's points, viewers, or dollars, the scoreboard doesn't lie. Right now, Clark is winning, and in ways that are reshaping the entire landscape.
Hey, we've talked ticket sales and we've talked viewership. Now let's talk about regular season viewership, not draft viewership. Regular season viewership, it grew by 20% in 2023. It's grown by 180% now, which means it would take another 5 or 6 years to do what Caitlin Clark has done. So between draft day viewership, which is up 400% to 40%, between ticket sales, which is up 93% to 16%, between regular game viewership, which is up 180% to 20%, what Caitlin Clark has done is grown the WNBA exponentially. She did in 5 weeks what would have taken 5 years. And as it pertains to draft viewership, she did in 5 days what would have taken 5 years. So yes, the WNBA was growing before Caitlin Clark. Make that abundantly clear. But it was growing incrementally compared to the exponential growth you're seeing now. And this is just data, this is just objective facts. Be mad with data, please do not be mad at me.
Now, she's not just the face of the league, she's its engine. And guess what followed her rise? Cold, hard cash. Clark became the first woman in league history to break the $1 million salary threshold from basketball alone. Not from dancing on TikTok or guest starring in car commercials, from playing the game. This is what equality looks like when the market speaks. She isn't riding some novelty wave, she's setting the tide. Here's the financial breakdown for those keeping receipts. An 8-year, $28 million Nike deal, complete with her own signature shoe. The richest shoe contract ever for a female basketball player. Add in high-profile sponsorships from Gatorade, State Farm, and Panini. WNBA marketing deals that rake in up to $250,000 in the offseason. Bonus incentives from Commissioner's Cup and playoff runs. And let's not forget her NIL valuation before she even went pro. A jaw-dropping $3.4 million. This is not a side hustle anymore. This is a financial movement.
Caitlin Clark has done it. She is now the highest paid women's basketball player of all time before she ever set foot on a WNBA court. As we can see, the AP News has already said that the deal is allegedly going to be around an 8-year deal, about $28 million, and again, a signature shoe. And now, we can start to plan about Caitlin Clark's WNBA salary because yes, the salaries need to go up, but overall, she's going to be okay. She's getting paid. And the people that are like, well, she should stay at Iowa. She would have made more money than Iowa. Well, not really. She had a Nike deal at Iowa. It wasn't worth this much money. Like, the deal at Iowa expired. This deal is longer. It's more total value. She would not have gotten this Nike deal if she was at Iowa, especially only for 1 more year. And overall, this just shows that her aura right now is next level. She's like 2002 LeBron James. LeBron James was in high school. He was already being called the chosen one. He had the big Nike deal before he ever took a bounce of a basketball on an NBA floor. Caitlin Clark is just next.
The WNBA used to believe, deeply, almost religiously, that women's sports just couldn't make money. That visibility wasn't scalable. That women's basketball was something you supported out of morality, not excitement. Then Caitlin Clark said, "Hold my Gatorade." And not only did she shatter those myths, she embarrassed them. She exposed the lie that women's sports can't be profitable if marketed correctly. She showed that the real issue wasn't fan interest, it was league neglect. Her games were crammed into brutal schedules, matched against the toughest teams from day one. What happened? Ratings exploded. Fans didn't blink, they binge-watched. Every arena she steps into becomes the center of gravity. Clips of her plays go viral in minutes. Her jersey is a collector's item before tip-off. And social media? Forget it. She trends before, during, and after every game. This isn't just talent, it's gravitational pull. Caitlin Clark is box office. She's not just playing the sport, she is the sport. And now, for the first time in the league's history, the WNBA is finally starting to treat one of its players like a business asset, not a charity case.
The conversation around greatness can have nothing to do with the conversation around being a cultural phenomenon. And now, there is no debate that Caitlin Clark has become exactly that.
Of course, not everyone's popping champagne. Some veterans, rightfully brilliant players like Aja Wilson and Angel Reese, have voiced frustration. They've called out the disproportionate media focus. They've raised eyebrows at the optics, and they're not wrong. These women carried the league during its leanest years without so much as a network segment. Their frustration isn't jealousy, it's justified. But here's the hard truth. Caitlin Clark didn't steal the spotlight. The market handed it to her. She showed up, performed, and the world watched. That's not favoritism, that's capitalism. Clark is more than an athlete. She's a cultural asset, a marketing supernova, the kind of rare figure who blurs the line between sports and spectacle. When she plays, people don't just watch, they engage. They comment, repost, buy, cheer, cry. She's got kids mimicking her form on driveways and adults rearranging their schedules to watch her live. She's the player people wait hours to meet, the one they name their daughters after, the one they see as the future. And frankly, she is.
Because when Caitlin Clark walks into a coffee shop in the middle of nowhere, people recognize her. Because when you are on Saturday Night Live and every news and entertainment network along the way, not just sports networks, you've risen above the conversation about your play and you've become a cultural phenomenon. Sure, we can debate the great players that came before and where she stands in that process. We can talk about the transition to the WNBA and where there could be difficulty for her in her game. We can talk about all those things and what it means for her greatness on the floor. Now, to sustain her status as a phenomenon, she may need to accomplish some of that greatness. But right now, none of that matters. Brands invest because brands know that there is going to be equity made from it.
Caitlin Clark's influence on the WNBA is already creating seismic ripple effects across the league. She hasn't just entered the league, she's redefined its value proposition. Think Aja Wilson won't secure a massive pay raise in her next contract? Go ahead and bet against it, if you enjoy losing money. Angel Reese? Just by existing within Clark's media gravitational pull, her visibility is skyrocketing. The power dynamic is shifting. For years, the WNBA treated its players like undermarketed side notes in their own league. That era is over. The league can no longer afford to treat marketing and salaries as afterthoughts. Clark's presence is a walking, talking, three-point shooting argument for investment, and the league's executives are finally realizing they can't build a sustainable business while lowballing their top talent. This isn't about generosity. It's about survival. The audience is expanding. Merchandise is flying off shelves, networks are paying attention, and the WNBA has no choice but to evolve fast. Salaries, exposure, resources, they all have to catch up. Clark hasn't just raised the bar, she's obliterated the old one and replaced it with a glaring neon sign that reads, "Value us or get left behind." The standard has changed, permanently.
Caitlin Clark, charging an arm and a leg, and I'm pretty sure your firstborn child, for 30-minute virtual speaking engagements. Caitlin Clark's team revealed that her 30-minute virtual speaking fee starts at $100,000. Clark has had 6 speaking events in the past year, which would be a minimum of $600,000 just from virtual speaking engagement. Folks, the fees start at $100K. I'll pick up my phone for $100K. I might not say yes, but at least you will get.
So let's stop pretending this is just a feel-good rookie story. This isn't some underdog Cinderella tale that stumbled into relevance. No, this is a full-blown financial revolution in women's sports. And Caitlin Clark is at the center of it. She's not simply playing basketball, she's redefining the business of it. Clark has exposed what the WNBA could have been all along, had it believed in its own potential. If only it had invested in marketing, put its stars front and center, prioritized visibility, and actually trusted the product it's been building for decades. Caitlin Clark didn't wait for the league to catch up.
Fees start at $100K. I'll pick up my phone for $100K. I might not say yes, but at least you will get a conversation out of me. We got Caitlin Clark on this panel, Caitlin Clark on that panel, Caitlin Clark on this leadership group, Caitlin Clark part of that leadership group, Caitlin Clark giving us a soliloquy here, giving a seminar there. It pays to be Caitlin Clark, folks. It pays to be Caitlin Clark.
She built her brand, commanded national attention, and made herself impossible to ignore. This isn't charity. Women's sports are not a donation drive, a side hustle, or a feel-good afterthought. They are a legitimate, scalable, profitable business. And Clark? She just turned the lights on and showed everyone what was hiding in plain sight. The WNBA is no longer a niche, it's her playground now. Whether you cheer for her or against her, it doesn't matter, because Caitlin Clark didn't ask for permission. She bulldozed through the old narrative and made herself inevitable.